So what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I am David. On today's episode, guys, we're going to continue with the Caravan series. Now, I did leave you off last time, said I was going to take it for a ride, see what else we can find wrong. I took it for a ride, and I came back, and the front left caliper was seized to some fashion. I think maybe one of the pistons may be seized in it, because it's still rolled. And even by hand, you can still roll it, but it's still. I came back, the left wheel was smoking. It was hot, like all of that stuff. And usually that's the case when there's a seized caliper. That said, we took the opportunity and we ordered a new hub, new bearings. Wheel hub and bearing are one assembly, so we ordered that. We ordered the caliper. We ordered new brake pads, new rotors, new everything. So immediately when I got back, I did take the time to put it up on the jack really quick and pull the lugs off to see if I can see what was the problem, so I can order the right part. In process of doing that, every single lug on the car tore. It all ripped off. I'll show you guys a close-up of this one in a second. But every single one tore off. So now I have to take the time to drill every single one of the studs out just to get the tire and rim off while salvaging the rim. With a good set of drill bits, this isn't that big of a deal. Just going to go ahead and start with a little drill bit and progressively make them bigger. And then it'll pop right off. And then we're probably going to have to hammer the rim off and hope the rim is salvageable. Here's a look at the lug nuts. And you can see they all just tore. Just tore right off. Here goes a shot of the lugs. And you can see there's still a piece attached to them. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this guy up on a jack and a jack stand. Alright, so car's up, like I said, jack stand, good to go. This is what we're looking like. It's relatively speaking, it's a simple job. Here's a center punch. You want to find the center of your lug, you want to center punch it, and then you want to start with the smallest drill bit you own and proceed to get bigger. Alright, so the first hole is done. We're going to progress the drill size, just step up a bit, a bit bigger, and we're going to keep going. Okay, we're about to shift gears. I was trying to salvage the entire rim, but I broke a drill bit off in that stud trying to get some video footage, and I had the drill cocked a little bit, and it snapped the drill bit right off in there. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and move on with just cutting the rim out. Alright, so I did take the 32 out. Now I'm going to take the valve core out of the tire, and I'm going to go ahead and let the air out of the tire just for some little additive safety, because I'm going to be cutting on this tire. Alright, so this is going to get good, man, because I've never actually had to do this before. I've never had to cut a rim off of stripped lugs before. I've had a lug strip out before, and I've had to drill one out before, but I've never had to drill 5 lugs out, and I've never had to or try to do it that way, and I already broke the one, so I'm over it. But I've never actually had to cut a rim before to try to get it off of a car. So this is a first for me. I'm pretty excited. This should be pretty cool. I'm going to start with a cutoff wheel, I think, first. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to try a Sawzall. Or I might try to do both just to see which one works better for future reference and for anybody out there watching. All right, well, that's pretty awesome. I've never had to cut a wheel like this before, so that's a lot of fun. I did use a Sawzall to go around it. It cut faster with the Sawzall. An angle grinder does cut it. It did go through it. It just took way longer. But I did want to try it both ways. So that was both ways. Saw's all it was. It's nice and chopped up. Let's keep going. Let's snatch this caliper off and see what we got. So we're going to take the caliper and the bracket off and the mounting bracket off. 2 bolts. There's a 13/16 on the top and a 13/16 on the bottom of it. Snatch them both out and you're good to go. All right, next we are going to get back here, and this bolt here and that bolt right there are 2 15s. There's 2 on the other side also. We're going to snatch those out and take the whole entire hub off. All 4 bolts are taken out. Now we got the BFH, and we're just going to hit on this back side of this until it pops off. All right, so I've been wailing on this thing for about a half an hour, and it is not budging. So we're going to shift gears one more time, and we're going to go ahead and remove these 2, and this guy, and the lower ball joint at the very bottom here. This guy there. We're going to go ahead and remove all of those and just pull the whole knuckle off. All right, so I took those 2 out and took the slower guy out over there. I mean, they all just came right out, bolt zip right out. This was these were 22s and that was an 18. And then, you know, this just pulls down and we slid the axle right out. So, or the CV joint or whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to work on getting this guy right here zipped and to take the whole knuckle off. All right, so that was pretty easy. The lower ball joint just popped right on off, popped on out. So, and this is what we have left here is this guy. All right, so for the life of me, I just can't get this bearing out right now, and I don't want to keep sitting here and fighting with the bearing. So I just ordered another one of these knuckles. All right, so this is the other knuckle. Exact same part. Actually, this one has ABS and mine does not. But we're going to go ahead and sand this on out and get it all cleaned up. And we're going to put some nice new shiny parts on it. Okay, I ran a wire wheel and got the part all cleaned up. So now we're just going to install the bearing. That's it. We're going to take the 4 screws and we're going to put them on the back side and screw them in. All right, so next we take the knuckle and our bearing that's on here now. We drop it right onto the ball joint here, and we're going to go ahead and screw the ball joint down. Ball joint nice and snugged up down there. We slid the axle through the new bearing, and we're going to go ahead and put these 2 screws in and connect that tire rod. All right, so everybody's snugged down. The tire rod's on. We're going to go ahead and put a rotor in place and put the brand new shiny caliper on. This one's hanging out up here. I'm going to put this on and then disconnect all the hoses from that one and put it right to this one, so that way I don't drip as much brake fluid all over the place. And then that's it. All right, well, simple enough. We do the brake pads on the caliper and do everything back on and snug up the bolts. Now we're going to go ahead and run the brake line to it. All right, guys, so you can see the brake line's on. I didn't lose that much fluid, but not a big deal. I have a brake bleeder kit that allows me to siphon the brake fluid from the actual nipple into a bottle, so it pulls fluid all the way through this into the caliper and fills up the caliper and all that fun stuff too. all in one shot to alleviate all of that, and then just crack it back. I mean, you crack it open, you pull all the fluid through, and then you shut it, and you're done. So we're going to go ahead and take a time out and do that. So I got the brake bleeder set up here. I got my 3/8 on there on the nipple in the back here. It's already cracked loose. This just fits right on there. And we're going to press the little handle here, connect it to the hose, press the handle, and we're going to draw fluid through the caliper and everything here. And that's it. And as it goes low on in the brake fluid reservoir, as that goes low, you add brake fluid to it. I don't know if you guys can catch it on camera, but there you go, a little fluid. It's just pulling the fluid right through this caliper. All right, everything is bled, everything's tightened back up. Because we cut the rim, we're gonna put the donut on to see if this thing will drive around and ride, to see if anything starts smoking again, to see if we got any more problems. If things are looking good, we will order a replacement rim. Okay, the rim is on, or the donut rather is on, and it's time to throw the 32 back in and snug it on up. Okay, we just got back from the test drive, and we are still having an issue. They're not running as hot, or it was not running as hot as it was before because nothing was smoking, but it's definitely still running hot. So something is still holding on both sides. And now that I realize it's on both sides, I'm really thinking it's going to be the brake master cylinder. So we're just going to take the time out and go ahead and replace that too. All right, so this is what we're working with. We're going to go ahead and replace this and that. This is the reservoir, and this is the master cylinder. There are 2 bolts on either side of it to hold it together. And there is 2 brake lines and a wire coming off of that. So you disconnect all of that. We're going to pull the battery to do it, move the battery out of the way. We're just going to reach back in there, get those bolts off, break the brake lines loose, and put the new one in, and cross your fingers. All right, got the battery out of the way. I already unplugged the sensor. It's right there, that blue and yellow tip you see there. Just use a flathead and pop that on out. And I took my brake fluid bleeder and I siphoned out all of the brake fluid already out of here just to keep mess minimal. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this brake line off, that brake line off right there. You can see that bolt right there is gonna come out, and then the other one on this side right there, that bolt right there has to come out. So, and that's it. All right, so for the record, I am using a double end flare nut rinse set, and let's give you guys a quick close up of what that looks like. It's gonna be a 1/2 inch for these, or at least mine's a 1/2 inch. And that's what it looks like. So to break these loose, I recommend that you use one of these because you get more grip around it, so you don't actually strip it out or anything like that. Because sometimes these things are really tough. And that's it. Boom. Oh, nice. That one actually came out really easy. And then those bolts back there are also a 1/2 inch. And this is, if I didn't say it, this is a 1/2 inch. And then the bolts back there are 1/2 inch. So pull all 4 off. Pull this guy on out. Let's go. So once you get this one loose, just move it out of the way so you can get back to the next one back there. And that's it. You can barely see me, but there it is. All right, so once you get this one, you saw me break that one loose, just unscrew it and then move this out of the way. There's braided lines that go down. Once it's a metal line that goes to a braided line, so these move pretty easily. Just move it out of your way and then sneak your wrench back in there, break that one loose, undo it, and then get your bolts. So there you have it. They're both broke loose and both unscrewed. Actually, I don't want to jinx myself here, but those actually came out pretty easy. And we're going to get our 1/2 inch and a long extension back there. And we're going to undo these bolts. On the other side, got to unloosen this one too. All right, so this is all the bolts are out. Let's just go ahead and pull this guy on out of here. Sneak it on out of here really quickly. There we go. And that's what it looks like. All right, so we're gonna put the new guy in. Let's give you guys a look. This is the new one, looking good, brand new. Sometimes there's a little spring in here, or a couple seals in here that just go bad sometimes. And I'm not saying that's the case for this vehicle, but I'm not too sure where else to go from here because I replaced the caliper, replaced all the other stuff, and we're still having some issues, and it's both sides, which does lead me to believe it's probably this master cylinder. But we're gonna find out. So let's go ahead and throw this guy in and fill some fluid, pump some brakes, bleed some brakes, I mean, and see what happens. All right, it's all back in, snugged up, looking good. We're just going to fill it up with some brake fluid, run around and bleed some brakes really quick, and go for a quick drive. Going to take the time to bleed the brakes. When bleeding brakes, you always want to go the furthest away from the master cylinder. So I'm going to start here. I won't bore you guys with the detail of me going to each tire and bleeding each brake. So I won't bore you with the details. But we're going to start back here, and we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes and then go for a ride. All right, so the drive was successful. We're super excited. No more heated up anything. So between the brake booster and the calipers and all that stuff, it's all nice and new. We're excited. I am going to do the other side, replace the calipers at a later date. Right now, the van is running and driving. We're very happy about this. When I did pull in, however, I did notice a little bit of antifreeze on the ground, so I popped the hood and noticed a small pinhole leak in the radiator. So I guess the next time you guys see this van, we're going to be replacing a radiator. It's not on the schedule right now, but I will schedule it at some point and you guys will see it then. And we're going to end this video on that, guys. So don't forget two things. Don't forget to take the time to enjoy what you do. And don't forget, work does not do itself. So don't be afraid to get out there and get after it.